Why does food suddenly taste different when you start a GLP-1? That is what we are going to be discussing today. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for another video today. We're talking food and why it tastes different today, like I said. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you guys. First off, you may notice that I am in a different location than normal. I have decided to test out a few different areas within my home and try to figure out the place that has just the best natural lighting. I am not loving all of the sort of like fake lighting. Like I have this one, I have a ring light. I'm just not about all of it because I can't figure it out and when it is good or when it's bad. And you guys have done a really good job of reaching out to me and letting me know when the lighting isn't great, but I'm just trying to find somewhere where I can do it naturally in my home. So if you notice a place in the next week or so where you really like the lighting in that particular area, or if you like this lighting or whatever, if you have any tips, then please leave them down below. As always, you guys know I am open to criticism as long as it is kind criticism. That is what I always say. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right on into it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brittany and I have lost 110 pounds now on a GLP-1. I was on branded Mounjaro for about a year-ish. And then I started on compounded tirzepatide through Orderly Meds, which I've been on ever since. I do have some links down below to Orderly Meds if you are interested or you're needing to find a good telehealth provider. So what I like to do here on this channel is talk about everything. I share my journey. I'm trying to share some of your all's journey. And I also just like to research little things that I notice within the community or things that I hear, studies that I see. I love to read and research. And one of the topics that I've been seeing coming up quite often recently is food tasting different. And so it got me thinking, are taste buds being altered through the use of GLP-1s, or is it just that our brain and our gut is being altered? So I decided to go on a bit of a bender and find out everything that I could. Is bender the right word? And find out everything that I could about this. So like I said, more and more we are hearing people say that certain foods taste different since they have started on their GLP-1 journey. Things that I have heard personally from other people are sweets are now too sweet. So, if you were a big cake eater or a big cookie eater or a big ice cream eater prior, you were having trouble feeling the same way or tasting them in the same way as you were previously. Fried foods are too greasy or they don't have any flavor. So bland is a word that is frequently used when we are discussing greasy foods, that they just don't have any flavor, or the flavor that they do have is just like oily. You know what I'm saying? Greasy and oily versus tasting whatever the actual food is. So if it's like French fries, we're just tasting grease and oil. Alcohol is no longer appetizing, which is something that I have shared here on my personal journey, and many, many, many others have said there is some current testing going on surrounding that. And then of course that portion sizes are just too overwhelming. Like you go to a restaurant and they sit a plate of food in front of you and there is just way too much and it's just so overwhelming, and your taste buds are just so overwhelmed that your perception of taste in that moment is off. So like, why is this happening? Like I said, are our taste buds changing or are they not? Let's talk about it. So there's actually a couple of reasons why this is happening, why our taste buds or why we are perceiving taste differently of certain foods. So the number one reason is our brain pathways. So GLP-1s target the dopamine reaction system in our brain. So if you don't know what dopamine is, right? It is like responsible for addiction and all of the things. Dopamine is like the feel good. Everybody wants a dopamine rush, right? So dopamine, the dopamine centers in the brain is actually how we perceive taste. So if you have a sugar addiction, if you have a sweet addiction, if you have an alcohol addiction, that's all happening within the dopamine system within your brain, okay? So what the GLP-1s are doing are affecting those pathways. So when we are suddenly noticing that sugary foods are not as appetizing to us or greasy foods are not as appetizing to us, it is because the dopamine reaction that we were getting previously when we ate these foods is not that like feel good high, like food high that you would get before when you would eat your favorite food or when you would binge. That is not the reaction that your brain is giving your body any longer. And so because you're not receiving this dopamine rush when you eat these sugary foods, you're no longer craving them or perceiving their taste to be the same as they were before, because they're not giving you the reaction that you wanted. So the whole thing is that your actual taste buds aren't changing. It's the way that your brain reacts to them that is changing, which I think is really cool. So, one thing is that your tongue, picks up on salty and sweet and all of the different flavors, sour that come into your mouth. But your brain, your taste buds taste them, and then they send signals to your brain, and your brain is what interprets them. So your taste buds themselves are still getting the same chemical reaction from the foods that they always were previously. The difference is your brain is interpreting those signals in a different way than they used to, and that is because of GLP-1 receptors on the brain. But that's just the first sort of reason why we might perceive foods differently than before. The second really big reason is actually side effects. So if you eat, let's say you go out and you get a hamburger at your favorite fast food restaurant, you loved Whoppers, and you go and you get a Whopper and you eat this Whopper and it makes you sick, right? Because you're on a GLP-1 now and you have the potential side effects of nausea, vomiting, and constipation and feeling full faster, because we all know that the GLP-1 slows down our digestion. So that greasy, fatty hamburger is going to sit in your stomach for a lot longer. So let's say you get your hamburger and it makes you sick, okay? Then what is happening is that your brain is connecting feeling sick with that hamburger. Okay, so you are going to start perceiving that hamburger. You're going to look at that hamburger and you're going to say, oh, the last time I ate that made me really sick. So I'm just not going to eat that anymore. Like, I don't have an appetite for that thing anymore. A really good example of this, and I'm sure women who have ever been pregnant will know exactly what I'm talking about, is morning sickness. So have you ever heard a woman say that when she was pregnant, she wasn't able to eat fish, or she wasn't able to eat chicken, or there was just certain things that she couldn't eat while she was pregnant, and forever after that, she never started to eat those things again? For me, I used to absolutely love Zaxby's chicken tenders. I don't know if everywhere has Zaxby's, but it's like a local, like Raising Cane's type of thing. You get chicken tenders, fries, chicken sandwiches. It's all chicken, okay? I used to love them. And this is when I worked in the medical field back in the day when I was pregnant with my son. And I would go probably twice a week and get a chicken tender salad from this restaurant. And when I got to be probably about 20 weeks pregnant, one day I just could not eat that salad anymore. I could not eat those chicken tenders. And I have tried several times since then, because my oldest son, ironically, the one I was pregnant with, loves Zaxby's chicken tenders, but I could not eat them and still cannot eat them. It's like my brain compares that feeling sick, and I'm pretty sure I even vomited at that time, with the chicken tender. And so the way I perceive those chicken tenders is bad, right? So we are having a similar reaction in GLP-1 use as morning sickness food aversions in women. And I think it makes total sense as a woman who's been pregnant that our brain can influence how our mouth and how our appetite signals and craving signals are affected by a side effect, right? So I think that makes total and absolute sense. I want to know if you are somebody that, tried to eat something, your favorite food in the beginning of the journey, and it doesn't sit well with you anymore and you just cannot eat it, or you don't find it appetizing. So it's not even like, I don't find this appetizing anymore, right? It's also, I literally it makes me sick to eat it, and I don't want to even attempt to eat it. I know people that won't eat hot foods anymore. Chris is one. He used to love hot sauce. He would put it on everything, and now I'm like, you never use, I am such it's such a habit for me to, like, when we're having dinner, pretty much whatever we were having, I would go and I would grab the hot sauce out of the fridge, right, to give it to Chris. And I still will sit it on the table and he never uses it anymore. And it's like, what happened to you loving hot sauce? It's just interesting how our brain and the dopamine reaction can change how our bodies taste food, right? So then you also have the whole like gut to brain communication. Okay, so this is a whole nother layer to this. There's several different layers to why this happens. So the GLP1s mimic the natural hormones that control fullness in your, that signal for fullness in your gut, satiety, appetite suppression, cravings, all of those things. And all of that happens in your brain. So there is this really important level function in your body that your brain and your gut are very, very connected. That is something that is not just in terms of GLP-1 use. I could do a whole separate thing on how in tune your gut and your brain are. Like, have you ever noticed that if you haven't gone to the bathroom for a couple of days, that you'll be super grumpy and just in a bad mood and not feeling yourself? Your brain and your gut talk a lot. They have lots of conversation going on, and the signals within them are vast. So again, relating back to food and how it can taste different, your brain tells your stomach when to feel full. And when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me that you should eat slower. My mom, who is on a GLP-1 and had gastric bypass and significantly struggled with obesity her whole life. But when we were kids, she was trying to make it so that we didn't have these struggles. But as we all know, obesity is a disease, and she couldn't control us ending up with the disease. But when we were kids, she used to say that you should eat slower because it takes your brain a little bit of time to catch up that your stomach is full. So if you're eating and eating and eating, by the time your brain has caught up, you've overeaten and it's too much. And she used to explain it, my mom's a nurse, and she used to explain it, that was the easy explanation for why people overeat and then why they end up regretting it. And like think Thanksgiving, like feeling super full and unable to move, and you're unbuttoning your pants because you're just so full, right? Because your brain is about 20, she used to tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, my mom used to tell me that your brain is 20 minutes behind your stomach. So you could essentially eat for 20 minutes longer than you needed to and then end up feeling super full and super whatever. So what GLP-1s do is they slow down the process of digestion in your stomach so much that you get full so much faster, and the signals from your brain work better at telling your stomach that it's full. So those signals in your brain are firing a lot better and a lot more efficiently and a lot quicker than they are without a GLP-1, so that you are able to stop yourself and you're able to say, okay, I'm full. And if you have been on a GLP-1 and you have made the mistake of overeating, you'll only make that mistake once, in my opinion. Like, once you do it, you don't want to do it again. And I have obviously made that mistake over the course of 3 years. And now I know about what I can eat. Like, I've just learned that my brain fires signals to my stomach a lot easier and a lot quicker, a lot more efficiently than it did previously. And so you feel fuller, faster, which can then change your perception to taste. If your brain is signaling to your stomach more efficiently, okay, you don't need all of that food, then you're gonna look at it and you're gonna say, oh, well, I don't want this food because I don't need it, right? Your brain is working more efficiently. And that's what I love to tell people about GLP-1s, is that what they do is obviously lots and lots of different things, but one major thing they do is just make your brain work better, make the signals in your brain do a better job of keeping up with everything else going on in your body. And that it's just so cool, right? It's just so cool. So to wrap this up, GLP-1s do not change your taste buds. There was some talk, I think I even mentioned it 6 to 8 months ago, that there are GLP-1 receptors on your tongue, and so your taste buds are being altered or changed. And that is true. There are GLP-1 receptors like literally everywhere in your body, right? And that is why we know that GLP-1s are able to work in many different body systems, right? Like your heart and your liver and your kidneys and your gut and your brain. We know that GLP-1s, through research and through clinical studies, we know that the GLP-1s are working several different areas in our body. But just because there's GLP-1 receptors does not mean that the actual taste bud and the cells that make up your taste bud are being altered. It just means that there's fiery receptors on your taste buds that are recepting, that are soaking in the GLP-1 and getting it where it needs to go to do the things it needs to do better than when you're not on a GLP-1. So your taste bud is not being altered. Your tongue is still tasting the salt and the sour and the sugar and the fat the same way that it always did. Your brain is what has changed. And I love to say, if I could keep one benefit of the GLP-1 for the rest of my life, it would be the brain effects, because I think that drives everything else and makes it so that we can handle everything else that life throws at us. So it's just so cool that our brain is protecting us essentially from these over sugary, over fatty foods by just making it so we don't react to them the same way that we did before. Right? How cool is that? I think that's so cool. So I want to know your thoughts, as always, down below on this topic. I want to hear about the lighting issue. As always, if you are interested in coming and being on the channel and being interviewed, please shoot me an email. I am loving talking to you guys, and I'm really excited that I was finally able to get this series started, because it feels like I am contributing to allowing people a space to share their stories, which I just absolutely love, is my whole mission. So if you are one of those people, please don't hesitate to reach out via email. My email is always linked down below, and the Facebook group is linked down below as well. That is a free encouragement group. Lots of different participants in there from all over the world. Some on branded, some on Eli Lilly direct, some on compounded from different telehealth companies. We have lots of different advice and experiences in that group. So that is free. Link in the bio, and then link to Orderly in the bio as well. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Bye.